don't fear the RFP. If it's time to source a new TMC, then do it. I think the biggest fear you should have is not doing anything at all. And we've seen more companies who choose not to change their provider go through more pain, and a number of really good reasons. You lose credibility, you lose the whole interruption of the reporting. So I think the biggest thing is if its time is necessary, then be courageous and do it, but do it properly. So my experience in the industry is that TMCs are good, particularly those who are fulfilling the needs of the larger sector of the industry, particularly in the corporate market as well as the public sector. What makes them really better is when you are more specific in the RFP requirements that you put out. I think the lack of clarity that we see in the RFP questions, they're vague, they're generic, and they're based on price. There's a lot more to this process than price. It's a complex procurement need from the travel sector. So being a little bit more clear, and being very clear about having what we're going to do when things go wrong. So what are the remedial facts that you're going to include in your RFP? We always focus on what can you do for us. I think it's important to also have that relationship with the TMC as to what do you need from us in order to make this successful. Make sure when you're comparing RFP bids, you're comparing apples with apples, and you don't compare apples with apples. If you've asked a generic question, do you include, for example, do you include low-cost carriers? Yes, they do. Some will keep them in the workflow, some will include them in the reporting, some will make greater value, some have a much better deal. There's so many different variables with regards to a very, very basic question. In my experience, anything that is outlined in a scenario gives so much more clarity than just a one-liner, closed question. So create the scenario for the TMC to deliver back to you a reasonable response.